Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video where I am going to be sharing my go-to summer weather heat, humidity, sweat proof makeup routine. I have tried this out and tested this on the most trying of days and it held up unbelievably well. So if you need a sweat proof, humidity proof, warm weather, summer, holiday, vacation proof makeup look that will literally take you about 10 minutes, then this is the video for you. Let's get started. Okay, so first things first, an absolute belter of a primer is a necessary step if we're wanting to secure our makeup for as long as possible. We want to give it something that's going to help us out with that, something that our foundation is going to apply beautifully on top of, and it's just going to give us an extra layer of protection against moisture, against perspiration, glowing, or against those cheeky oils that sometimes come through around the nose, especially in the height of summer. And you can't get a better one than this Tom Ford, in my opinion. It's the best I've ever tried. Making sure you get around the nose, the chin, the forehead, all of those places that love to get a little bit shinier throughout the day. So I've prepped my eyes for shadow with a little bit of concealer set with powder. The setting with powder, which I always do, which is especially important when you are trying to keep mascara from smudging or transferring, especially if it's very humid, especially if you might start sweating, because all of that extra moisture floating about is a perfect way to get panda eyes. So make sure you're setting with powder, especially if that's something you are prone to. So all I'm going to do for eyes, the bare minimum, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm using this Reflect eyeshadow from Hourglass and my flat T2 from Sonia G. And all I'm going to do is a very little bit. I don't want to spend ages doing my makeup on a very hot, sweaty day. And I feel like less is more, less to go south, you know, less to start melting, the better. And I'm going to apply this all over my mobile lid and I'm going to slightly blend it up into the crease. I am going to add some bronzer into the crease a little bit later just for a little bit of dimension, but this is literally all I did and all I do a lot of the time when I'm in a hurry. A single shadow, something like, I do love these little pot shadows from Hourglass. I've got a few of them depending on my mood. I'll use this one or Smoke are my favourites. I'm not going to be too neat about this because I am going to blend a bit of bronzer over the top, so no need to faff about for too long, you know. Now when it comes to mascara, the only one I'm using if I think I might sweat, if I think that it's going to be very, very humid, if I think that the sun is going to try and melt my makeup off of my face, is the Eldridge one. It's impenetrable. It's never smudged or transferred at all. I've cried, I've wept, I've got rained on while wearing this mascara and it's never even batted an eyelash. Of course you'd start drilling at this moment. I don't really like well, I don't. I'm not going to say really, I'm not going to go easy on it. I hate, that's right, I said it. I hate waterproof mascara. So this is as good as it gets for me. It's not waterproof, so I don't experience the sort of dryness and the difficulty taking it off at the end of the day like I do with most waterproof mascaras, but it does everything else I need it to. It's definitely seen me through some wild times. Okay, so for foundation I'm going to be using the new Tom Ford Architecture Soft Matte. It's very expensive. I'm so sorry about it, but let me explain myself. Okay, this foundation, no joke, this is approaching the level of like the great train ride that I previously told you about. If you've been here a long time, you will remember the great train ride and my Lancome Skin Feels Good and how it saved me that day. Now I've got a similar level of story about this foundation. So I take my daughter to dance class every Saturday And me and my friend there, we like to go on little walks while they're in there. They're in there like 45 minutes, and we like to go for a little walk and a chat rather than just sitting in the dance studio. And so we did that a couple of weeks ago when it was the hottest day of the year. It wasn't crazy hot, just to be clear. It was still England and like, you know, May. Calm down. But it was, you know, mid-20s and it was very humid, and we were walking around this field with like no cover for the entire 45 minutes. Like we got almost all of our steps for the day in during that time, and I was melting. I was so hot. I was absolutely breaking out in a sweat. I was glowing, and in the back of my mind I was thinking, my God, my makeup must look unhinged. I thought, I'm going to be so red in the face. I'm going to have melted everything off makeup wise. Goodness knows what I look like by the time I get inside. That's what I was thinking. And when we got back inside at the end of the dance class, and I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror expecting an absolute melted biscuit to be staring back at me, like a rich tea that's been dunked in a cup of tea for like 10 minutes. That's what I was expecting to be like staring back at me in the mirror. And no joke, I looked flawless, if I do say so myself, and I do. Okay, not a single thing had changed. I wasn't shiny. There was no foundation missing from my face. There was no redness showing through my foundation. I was absolutely aghast. My flabber was ghasted to the moon, okay? It was really the last thing I expected. I was confused, to be honest. This is the combo, this is the makeup that achieved that level of ghast flabbiness. And the day didn't end there. Oh no, 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 no. No, it did not. After this, we met my husband and my son at like a play farm, and we played all day. We were out again in this glorious, sunny, humid weather, very nice and warm. We were there all day. We got home and I sat in the afternoon sun reading my book and having a glorious time, and not really caring obviously at this point what my makeup looked like because no one was going to see me. And when I finally decided at like 7 p.m, so 12 hours after I had done this makeup, to go and take it off, I, no joke, looked in the mirror and it almost looked exactly how it did when I applied it in the morning. It was ridiculous. I was so impressed. I immediately thought, wow, I've got my summer makeup look down, haven't I? Or my, you know, bulletproof, long day out in the weather look down, okay? I don't think anything will ever beat this. There was barely any signs of wear at all, and I could not Adam and Eve it. So yes, she's ridiculously expensive, but that day I thought, fair play. If you're going to charge a ludicrous amount for a foundation, at least make it like fantastic, at least make it unbelievably wearing, you know, 2 days of wear minimum. So now concealer, Haus Labs, best concealer I've ever used in my whole life, all of my days. In all of my days, this is the best concealer, but of course use whichever concealer you like the best. This step I feel doesn't really matter that much, honestly. As long as you set it really well, then just use whichever concealer you like the most. I'm just gonna leave that to settle for a second while I do another coat of mascara. Didn't think I was just going to do one, did you? Don't think so. So now I'm using my Givenchy powder, and I've just tapped a little bit out into the lid, and I'm using my same sponge, just dabby-doo-darring in there. That's the technical term. And I'm using the sponge because this just does a bit more of a heavier set. You know, a brush will pick up a little bit less than the sponge will, and this is going to really press that powder into the skin, so it's just going to do a more thorough, hardcore setting of powder. Now I will say this foundation, for me and my skin type, really doesn't need a sort of heavy setting around the nose. It does it copes by itself, but before I discovered this foundation, this is what I would have done. I would have really kind of baked my nose, because that's the only place really that ever gets a little shiny. for me. So for bronzer, when I really want my bronzer to last super duper duper well, I like to use the Charlotte Tilbury Cream bronzer, because I know typically, traditionally, creams don't last as long as powder, but this cream bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury is not like the others. It's a standalone in its field, you know, it stands alone in its field like a lonely donkey abandoned by its friends. That sounds bad, but I mean it in a good way. It's happy out in the field by itself because it's better than all the other donkeys. I don't know why donkeys came into this at all, to be honest. But the point is, this cream bronzer does not stay like a cream. It sets itself down to a powder. So then it actually is like using a cream that you've set with a powder, but you don't have to do both steps. It's a time-saving delight is what it is. So that is my recommendation. If you want a nice long-wearing bronzer, this is a funny dabby dozy, okay? Build it up as much as you like. I'm using the shade medium, which I think is my favorite. And it's just a really lovely natural bronze that wears so nicely because it sets down. And like I said, it's the equivalent of using a cream that you've set with powder, double dipping. And then I'm just going to take a teensy little bit of that on my T5 from Sonia G, and I'm just going to blend this a little bit in the crease just to give myself a little bit of dimension there. Finish off this eye look. I'm also going to run that under my lower lash line. And on that same dancing day, I used this little number from Daness and Myricks. This is the Lowlighter in Lowkey. So this is a balm powder hybrid. So it kind of goes on a bit like a balm, but it lasts like a powder. And again, especially on top of all of this prep and all of these amazing wearing products, I just stamped a little bit of this into my cheeks, and then because it's so glowy, I didn't really feel like I needed highlighter. This is going to be a 2-for-1, so again, a bit quicker, saves me a bit of time, less is more, and it gives me delightfully glowy peachy cheekies without me having to go in with highlighter. It's absolutely glorious, but again, it gives you the kind of effect of having used a cream, but the longevity of a powder, because it is that hybrid formula. And now probably the most important, vital, I would say, step in this whole shebang, Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, the best setting spray on earth in my book. So good. Whenever I use this, my makeup stays flawless all the live long day. Soak yourself in it if you don't mind. I don't mind. I love it. Now, lips wise, unless you're going to go for like a liquid dry down matte type of lipstick, which I typically won't ever, then your lipstick is unlikely to last all day anyway. You know, you're going to sort of want to touch up your lipstick. But these new Tatcha Kissu lip tints with SPF 25, for obvious reasons, are a great choice for hot summery weather because they're giving you that extra SPF as well. And they just feel like a lip balm, you know, when it's really hot and you're bothered, you're hot and you're bothered, and you just don't really want a heavy lip product on. And these are so light and they literally just feel like a balm, so nourishing. I know my lips are getting that extra little bit of SPF, and so it's just all wins. And here is the finished makeup look, and let me tell you, I'm not joking when I said this lasted for an eternity, looking exactly how it started the day, through really warm, humid weather that I was out in, that I was perspiring, that I was glowing like an angel, a sweaty angel who's working really, really hard, okay? And despite getting all of my steps in on this glorious summer's day, this is how I ended up like 12 hours later. So I was absolutely beside myself. I was expecting to be an absolute melted mess puddle on the ground, and instead I was semi put together by the end of the day. So I thought I had to share this with you guys because I was wowed. So there you have it. This is my finished melt proof, summer proof, sweat proof, hot weather proof makeup tutorial. Please let me know your top warm, humid, weather friendly makeup tips and products in the comment section down below. Spread the knowledge, share the wealth. Sharing is caring, okay? Give us your tips. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.